Alright, we're going to start the first section of this geometry. And before we get started in all the geometry figures, we're going to review solving equations and plotting points. These are key elements in studying geometry, because we'll need these when we study the figures, because there'll be a lot of algebra involved. And so you maybe have seen it heard when you're solving equations that whatever you do on one side of the equation, you do on the other. The sides are just determined by that equal right there. So whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other. Now, we also can do, the times when we can do something on just one side is when we have like terms that we're bringing together. These, when I bring them together, will just become a 2, because negative 3x and 5 become 2. So I will have 2 equals, these become 2x plus 4. This is where I can do something on both sides now. I have two things that are alike on both sides of the equation there. So I'm going to have to bring that 4 to the other side. To do that, I'm going to subtract 4 over here so it'll go away. And then I'm going to subtract 4 over here to keep that equation balanced. So I will subtract that out. This will become negative 2, and I will bring down that 2x. This now is a multiply. I am multiplying the 2 times the x. So to bring that to the other side, I must divide by 2 on both sides. That will reduce to x, and negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Let's show you another one. We're going to do this one also. To do this one, I've got a distributive property up there. I've got to multiply these in here. So we will have to bring down this negative 90, bring down the negative 4, but this negative 2 multiplied by the 5x becomes negative 10x. This negative 2 times the 8 becomes negative 16. We can bring these together. They're like terms, but they're on the same side of the equation. So they just combine to become negative 20. Bring down the 10x that was there previously, and bring down that negative 90. Don't forget my equals. I'm now going to bring this 20 over here because they're like terms, and I want to get this x all by itself on the right side. So since the 20 is negative, I'm going to add it to the other side. And I'll have this becomes 70, or negative 70. Bring down that negative 10x. I'm now going to get rid of that 10x. The negative 10x here is being multiplied by that x, so we're going to divide by the negative 10 on both sides. X will equal negative 70 divided by negative 10 is 7. Let's look at another one. We have another distributive property, another distributive property. We're going to multiply these in. This first one is going to be 48. The second one is going to be negative 32n. We're now going to just bring this down and bring that down. This time I have like terms that are both have variables. They both have the letter n. They're on the same side of the equation, so we can just bring them together. negative 32, and negative 7 is negative 39. I'm going to bring the 48 over there because they're like terms. Since 48 is positive, I'm going to subtract the 48 to both sides. The 360 minus 48 is 312. These go away. I'm going to bring down the negative 39. Don't forget that negative. I am multiplying here, so I will divide by negative 39 because I do the opposite. You might need a calculator here. Your n becomes a negative because we have a positive and a negative, and that becomes a positive, a negative, and 8, negative 8. Let's do another one. Alright, now we're going to try to do another one so I can give you as much practice as possible. Here we go. We still have a distributive property. Let's do that one first. Here, that becomes 10. This becomes negative 30r. Bring down my equals. Bring down the 37 minus 3r. This time we have an r on both sides, and we have numbers on both sides, and we need to get the letters on one side and the numbers on the other. This time you can start in multiple places. I could move the negative 30 over there. I could move the negative 3r over there. I could move the 10 over there. I could move the 37 over there. So you have some decisions to make, and all of them would be correct decisions. But once you make one decision, then you pretty much have to you don't have any decisions after that. I always, and that's my personal opinion, I love to add. I don't really like to subtract. So I would rather either add the 30 over here or add the 3r over there. So that's how I make my decisions. And I like it when my answers become positive at the end. And so if I added this over here, I know that my answer would be negative. So if I add this one over here, I know my answer will be negative. So this is what I'm planning to do. I plan to add the 30 to both sides. Here we go. Add 30r to both sides. These will go away. My 10 will come down. My equal will come down. My 37 will come down. And this will become 27r. Now I'm pretty much done. Don't really need to make any more decisions. I just need to move that 37 over there. Yes, it'll be negative, and yes, I'm subtracting, but sometimes we have to do what we don't like. Bring down that 27r. And this becomes negative 27. I am here multiplying by r, so I have to divide both sides by, I was multiplying by 27, so I have to divide by 27. And r becomes negative 1. All right, let's plot some points. We have a coordinate system right here. This coordinate system is got an x-axis all along here, a y-axis along here. On the x-axis, it's positive going this way and negative going that way. On the y-axis, it's positive going up and negative going down. And we have quadrants. Quadrant implies 4 pieces. We have 4 pieces here. And we're going to call this one our first quadrant. It goes counterclockwise. This is our second quadrant. Down below that is our third quadrant. and over here is our fourth quadrant. Good vocabulary to have as we're talking about graphing. You will be doing a lot of graphing, and so you need to know how to graph. We're going to graph all of these points. When I'm graphing a point like 0, 6, the first one is always the x on the x coordinates, and the second one's always the y. So with 0, 6, that means I'm going to go 0 in the x direction and 6 in the y direction. So I go nowhere that direction. I just go in the y up to 6. The next one is 7, 2. So 7 in the x and 2 in the y. So I'm going to come out here to 7, and from there up to the 2, and I'm going to plot my point right there. I'm going to go 3, -10, so that's 3 in the x and -10 in the y. So I'm going to come over here to 3 and down to 10. So I will be at 3, -10. Next one I have a 5, 7. That's 5 in the x and 7 in the y. So we're going to come over here 5 and come up 7. As I'm doing these, I am drawing out on my x or in coordinates on the x-axis and my y, but I do not suggest you do that. I suggest you just plot your point at the end. Last one is 0, 7. It's going to be really close to the one we did at the beginning. It's going to be right there. Now, I suggest that you actually draw your letters on them as you go along. Don't do it like I just did. Go ahead and draw them the very first. This one was B. C was the 7, 2. D was down here. I would suggest you write them as you go. And here is E, and F was this last one way up at the top up here. Okay. All right. We have covered graphing and solving equations. It's the preliminary stuff that you need to have to be successful in geometry. We're going to go to the next section. You'll be able to find that on YouTube right below. Get ready.